In the first scene, we see young people from a wealthy family competing in shooting. Cayetana was as always irresistible. An important dinner at the Falcon house is to take place today because their son and Cayetana's fiancé, Gabino, has returned from Mexico. Alonzo, the girl's brother, tensed up upon hearing this. They hadn't seen each other in many years. The situation in the world is dire. Mexico has completely severed all diplomatic ties with Spain. The Falcon household is preparing for the upcoming dinner in honor of Gabino's return. There was a knock on the door. Mina had been eagerly awaiting this moment. Mother and son embraced. Mina had feared that she would never see her child again. It turned out that Gabino did not come alone, but with his Mexican friend, Lázaro. He gave the impression of a sweet, shy guy. Mina told Lázaro to make himself at home. In the next scene, we see a priest calling on women who have committed the terrible sin of fornication with each other to repent. Such a transgression implies arrest. Javier, the secretary, reminded Señor Gregorio Falcon that his son is arriving today. Gregorio is the deputy warden and supplies his influential friend, the owner of a shoe factory, with prisoners for cheap labor. Mina wants to make sure the dinner goes perfectly. The maid Rosario is very happy about Gabino's return, but his mother somehow looks sad. Mina said that there is no place for idealists in Spain. Rosario reminded her mistress about the seal. Mina promised to deal with it later. Gabino went into his grandmother's room to say hello. Doña Amparo is upset that her grandson did not write to her at all. He was always his grandfather's favorite. Amparo gave her grown-up grandson a rifle, even though there should be no guns in this house. Finally, father and son met. Gabino introduced Lázaro to his father. In the evening, the two wealthy families dined together. Señor Falcon toasted in honor of his son in Spain. The only thing that saddened Gabino was that his old friend Alonzo did not come. After dinner, Mina asked the husband's mother how she dared to give Gabino a rifle after what had happened. Amparo reminded the daughter-in-law that this is her house. Then everyone gathered in the living room, drinking, smoking and engaging in idle conversation. Gregorio suggested that Cayetana give her fiancé a tour because the city had changed beyond recognition. At that moment, Gabino said that he planned to travel through Europe with Lázaro and then return to Mexico. It turned out that Lázaro is a ballet dancer. Amparo constantly interrupted the guy. Meanwhile, Alonzo was playing football with his friends. Something was bothering him. At home, he asked his sister if Gabino had changed. Cayetana replied that anyone would have changed in 10 years. Before bed, Lázaro told Gabino that his mother is very elegant. Lázaro also noticed that Gabino's grandmother didn't like him. When asked about his grandfather, Gabino replied that he passed away 10 years ago. It was a hunting accident. Gabino was very tired and wished Lázaro good night. Lázaro, however, still had the energy for a workout. Gregorio accused his wife of letting just anyone into the house. Mina said that Lázaro is not just anyone but a friend of their son. Gregorio despises artists and believes that their son shouldn't waste time associating with such people. Mina couldn't sleep for a long time, thinking about her homeland. Hearing music, she went downstairs and saw Lázaro dancing. Mina knows her husband wouldn't like this. The next day, Lázaro shared with Gabino that he would like to work as a dancer in Paris. Mina told her son that his father and grandmother wanted to talk to him. Gregorio told his son that Santos, Cayetana's father, had agreed to take him into the financial department at the factory, which means that Gabino would have to forget both Lázaro and returning to Mexico. Moreover, the father and grandmother want Gabino to marry Cayetana because the Aldanas are one of the most influential families in Madrid. Of course, Gabino was disappointed and upset. Mina felt very sorry, but she could not go against her husband's will. Soon the Falcons visited the shooting club, where influential families usually gather. Gabino brought his Mexican friend. Gregorio did not hide his disdain. The shooting competition began. Gabino approached Alonzo and asked how he was doing. Alonzo responded very coldly. Suddenly Alonzo asked Gabino about his Mexican friend. Gabino wanted to introduce them, but Alonzo refused. The wedding of Cayetana and Gabino is planned for May. Unlike Cayetana's family, Mina believes that their children should decide for themselves what is best for them. Mina did not want to continue the conversation. Leaving the table, she crossed paths with Lázaro, who smiled at her warmly. In the next scene, we see Rosario opening the door for her son, who is here secretly. He said that his father is being transferred to a prison in Navarre. Enrique knows they can no longer afford to wait for the seal from the Falcons. The mother said they had no choice. Enrique does not believe that Mina will keep her promise because all the rich are the same. Gabino told Lázaro that he would not be able to go to Paris. Lázaro would like to stay in Madrid because he likes it here. Gabino was very happy to hear this and promised to help the friend get into a local troupe or open his own dance school. Gabino taught Lázaro how to shoot. The other guys laughed at them, joking that they looked like a couple in love. Mina does not like shooting and guns because it reminds her of something from the past. Santos Aldano shared his plans with Gregorio to open a branch of the factory in Las Ventas. The shoe business is thriving. Santos wants Gregorio to allocate him 30 more workers. Gregorio can't guarantee anything, but Santos insisted, reminding him that their families would soon be united. Gabino and Lázaro danced to Mexican music. The girls joined them. Then the young people decided to continue the fun outside. Lázaro is the only one who doesn't drink alcohol. Cayetana urged him to do so, and then the others joined in. Eventually Lázaro agreed to drink. When Cayetana also wanted another drink, the brother strictly ordered her to go home. Lázaro and Gabino stood up for the girl, receiving an insult from Alonso in return. The party was over, only Gabino and Lázaro remained. Upon arriving home, Gregorio was tired and asked his wife not to delay dinner. Rosario asked Mina for a private conversation, saying that her husband and several others are being transferred to Navarre. The conditions in that prison are unbearable, and Rosario knows her husband won't survive it. Mina promised to take care of everything, but she needs time. Gabino and Lázaro continued drinking. They were fooling around and hugging, not knowing that Alonso was watching them. Late at night, Gabino dragged drunk Lázaro to his room. Of course the mother won't tell the father. No one knows that Mina feels a secret attraction to this Mexican guy. Amparo noticed Rosario's nervous state. That same morning, Mina asked Lázaro about how he met Gabino. Lázaro replied that he met him through his ex-girlfriend's sister. Now Lázaro is looking for his love. Mina in turn said that she left Mexico long ago and met Gregorio here. They got married. Then the war started, and Mina couldn't visit her homeland. Spain is a wonderful country, but now is not the best time for people like Lázaro. At the factory, the female prisoners worked tirelessly. It turned out that the final decision regarding employment in the financial department of the shoe factory is made by Alonso, the owner's son. Gabino doesn't understand why Alonso is pushing him away, as they used to be best friends. Gabino suspects that the reason is something that happened between them in the past. Alonso prefers to pretend that nothing happened. Also, he has no intention of hiring Gabino, despite his father's request. Mina has started taking more care of her appearance. Lázaro reminds her of her distant homeland. Later, Mina came to her husband's office. Gregorio doesn't like it when his wife comes unannounced. Mina thinks they shouldn't pressure their son about the wedding and job. Maybe he should go to Mexico to say goodbye. Mina could go with him. Gregorio made it clear that no one from their family would leave Spain. Mina wanted to secretly steal the husband's seal for Rosario, but she didn't have time because Gregorio took it and locked in his desk drawer. After that, Gregorio ordered his wife to be taken home. When Alonso found out that his sister was going to the movies with Gabino and Lázaro, he advised her not to associate with such people. Cayetana reminded him that Gabino is her future husband. Santos explained to his son that things don't always go the way we want. With the Falcons, they will achieve victory, and the marriage will strengthen the alliance between the families. Love has no place in business. After rummaging through the maid's things, Amparo found something compromising. After the movie, the young people shared their impressions with each other. Stepping out for a smoke, Gabino saw Cayetana and Lázaro kissing. Cayetana wanted to go to the disco. Gabino was grim and silent the whole trip. At some point, he stopped the car and ordered Cayetana to get out. He didn't care how she would get home. Lázaro asked his friend what was wrong. At that moment Gabino confessed his feelings to him. Lázaro said it was a big mistake and got out of the car. Arriving home, Gabino was very angry. He announced to his father that he would not marry Cayetana. At night, Lázaro couldn't sleep, just like Mina. They had a heartfelt conversation in the kitchen. Mina admitted that she was worried about her son. He must be missing Mexico a lot. There was clearly a mutual attraction between Lázaro and Mina, but they couldn't afford to cross that line. Gabino decided to leave, but his father was categorically against it. He wanted the son to apologize to Cayetana like a gentleman. Mina also thought that Gabino should apologize. Sooner or later he would still have to get married. That is the reality. Suddenly Gabino got out of the car despite the mother's pleas. Doña Amparo asked Rosario how long she had been a widow. The maid replied that her husband had perished in the war long ago. Amparo's husband also perished in a hunting accident. This united the women, and Amparo suggested that the maid honor their husband's memory with a prayer. Rosario had a lot of work, but she couldn't refuse her mistress. Mina apologized to Cayetana's mother, Belén, for her son's behavior. Belén believed that there was no excuse for Gabino's behavior, as something could have happened to Cayetana alone on the road at night. In Mexico, Gabino was raised by Mina's sisters, so perhaps she no longer knows her own son. Belen made it clear that she wouldn't allow her daughter to marry a man who didn't respect her. To vent his emotions, Gabino practiced shooting. Lázaro continued to stay at the Falcon's house. Mina liked that Mexican music was often heard here now. Lázaro invited her to dance, but a few minutes later Rosario interrupted them, saying that someone wanted to see Lázaro. Mina was ashamed that she hadn't fulfilled her promise to Rosario. Cayetana was the one who wanted to see Lázaro. She invited him to the fair, but he thought it was a bad idea. Lázaro didn't want any trouble, but Cayetana assured him that it wasn't a date. Others would be going with them. Alonso was finally ready to hire Gabino, but he was no longer willing. Gabino realized that Alonso only agreed out of fear that he would tell someone their shared secret. Alonso whispered that they were just kids back then. He also advised Gabino to make things right with Cayetana and become a good husband to her, but that clearly wasn't part of Gabino's plans. Before Gabino left, Alonso told him to think carefully because otherwise, something might happen to him. Mina told Rosario that she couldn't get the seal because Gregorio never leaves it unattended. In response, the maid began to blackmail her, threatening to reveal her inappropriately close relationship with Lázaro. Cayetana, Lázaro and her friends were having a great time at the fair. Cayetana is a good shot and won a stuffed toy at the shooting range. The girl openly flirts with Lázaro, which he doesn't like too much. In her bedroom Mina caught her mother-in-law. Amparo stated that she was aware Rosario was not a widow and that her husband was actually in prison for his communist views. Mina pretended to hear about this for the first time. Amparo intended to turn Rosario over to the authorities. Mina threatened to reveal the truth about Gregorio's father's demise. Gabino was a child at the time, but remembered everything and told his mother. Cayetana lost Lázaro at the fair. Did he run away from her? Cayetana's friends started joking that Lázaro and Gabino were a couple. This shocked the girl. That same evening, Cayetana told her family about it. Alonso assured that it was just rumors, but the head of the family began to have doubts. Later during dinner, Gregorio and Santos tried to reach an agreement. When Gregorio said he couldn't provide the additional 30 workers, Santos mentioned the rumors about Gabino's special relationship with his Mexican friend. If the wrong ears heard this, Gregorio's reputation would be ruined. Gregorio didn't intend to continue this conversation and told Santos to get out. Even after so many years, Mina still feels like a stranger in this country. Lázaro feels a similar way. Early in the morning, Gregorio told his son to wake up and then took him on a tour of the prison. Gregorio wanted his son to see firsthand what happens to people arrested for their non-traditional orientation. It was hard for Gabino to watch. Amparo knew that the daughter-in-law had written evidence against her and tried to find it. Seeing a red dress in the closet, she was plunged into the past. Lázaro continued his ballet rehearsals right in the house. Mina told him it would be better not to do it here. She also advised the young man to pay attention to girls his own age. Lázaro loves Mina, but nothing can happen between them. Cayetana decided to test the rumors about Lázaro and asked her beautiful friend Anna to attract his attention. Lázaro passed the test. Now Cayetana is certain that Lázaro is normal, unlike Gabino. Cayetana gave him a friendly piece of advice, not to be seen in Gabino's company anymore. When Cayetana tried to kiss Lázaro, he pulled away, making it clear that he was not interested in her. Rosario asked her mistress for permission to leave work early to see the husband. This is her last chance, as he will be transferred to another prison on Friday. Mina tried to dissuade Rosario, saying that if anyone found out she was married to a communist, she would be imprisoned too. However, Rosario has nothing left to lose. Later, Mina watched from her car as Rosario waited for the bus. Mina was powerless to help her in any way. In the men's restroom, Alonso approached Gabino and asked him to return to Mexico, or this would not end well. For this insolence, Gabino attacked Alonso in front of all the members of the shooting club, threatening to reveal their secret. Alonso pretended not to understand what he was talking about and called Gabino crazy. Later, Gabino apologized to Lázaro for the incident. It was really foolish. Lázaro once thought he knew Gabino, but now he has doubts. Gabino suggested they forget about it. In response, Lázaro hugged him. The guys didn't know that Cayetana and Alonso were watching them from his car. The prison warden heard these rumors and intended to fire Gregorio. He assured that his son was slandered, but the warden was inclined to believe the rumors. Out of respect for Gregorio's impeccable reputation, the warden gave him time to sort this out. Amparo asked Lázaro to leave her and Gabino alone for a private conversation. Gabino made it clear to his grandmother that he remembered what happened 10 years ago. Amparo assured her grandson that she was not his enemy. Lázaro watched Mina swim in the pool. He was here to tell her personally that he and Gabino would be leaving earlier than planned. Mina knew it was for the best, though she would miss them both. Gregorio is broken. His son could destroy everything their family has painstakingly built. Alonso's friends invited Lázaro to join them. Once they were in one of the guys' cars, they all started making hurtful jokes about Lázaro. He realized he was not safe. They dragged him into a building where Gabino was already tied up. Alonso shouted that they should have just returned to Mexico willingly. The guys forced Lázaro to dance ballet. He had no choice but to comply. Despite the danger to his life, Lázaro put his whole soul into the dance, but the guys just laughed. After that, they beat him and Gabino. Meanwhile, Belén was brushing her daughter's hair. Cayetana kept insisting that Gabino had a non-traditional orientation. Because of their injuries, Gabino and Lázaro had to lean on each other to walk. Doña Amparo let Rosario know that she was aware of her secret. The maid begged her mistress not to report it to the authorities. In front of her, Amparo tore up the compromising letter, but in return she needed a favor from Rosario. Gregorio came home very angry, declaring that the son had disgraced their family. He blamed his wife for allowing their son to go to Mexico. Gregorio told everything to his mother, hoping for advice. Amparo believed they should throw both Gabino and the Mexican into prison. Only then could they save the family's reputation. Late in the evening, Rosario looked out the window and saw a car pull up. As agreed, the maid was supposed to hand over some keys. Secretly from her husband, Mina went somewhere and bought a gun. Alonso's friends had no idea about his secret inclinations. In fact, he was just like Gabino but was afraid to admit it. Lázaro carefully treated Gabino's wounds, who felt sorry for getting his friend involved in this. Lázaro told Gabino that he loved him too, but these feelings were purely friendly. Seeing the wounds on her son and his friends' faces, Mina was horrified. She gave Gabino train tickets, saying they must leave today. Returning to Spain had been a big mistake. For Mina it was difficult, but she had to protect her child. 2 hours later, Amparo told her son that Gabino and Lázaro had fled. Gregorio was furious. Mina wanted to stop her husband from harming their son, but Amparo had stolen the gun from her purse. How did she know about it? Gabino and Lázaro were waiting for their train at the station. Finally their train arrived, but the guys didn't manage to escape from Spain because the police came for them. They started running, but the police caught Gabino and seized him. Lázaro managed to slip away and get on the train. He had to abandon his friend. Mina is anxiously waiting. Suddenly her mother-in-law entered the room, informing her that Gabino had been arrested, but the Mexican had escaped. Amparo believes it would be better for everyone if Gabino ends up behind bars. Gabino was brought to the prison. His father was already waiting for him here and asked the guards to leave them. Gregorio told his son how hard this decision was for him, but the law is the law. Gabino committed a crime and must be punished, but Gregorio can arrange for the court to replace prison time with treatment in a psychiatric hospital. When Gabino screamed that he and Lázaro were just friends, it enraged the father. Gregorio regretted the day this Mexican came into their home. Now Gregorio wants the son to say where Lázaro is hiding. With tears in his eyes, Gabino replied that they were going to flee to France, but the father did not believe him. The guards had to resort to torture. Mina wanted to see the son but the guards did not let her in. Meanwhile, Lázaro decided to return to Madrid. His conscience would not allow him to do otherwise. Alonso came to the father's factory, who wanted to talk to him. It turned out that Gregorio did not keep his word, finding a more profitable offer. Gabino was placed in a cell with a guy who had been arrested for the same thing. Giving an address, the guy asked Gabino to someday find someone named David and tell him how much he loves him. The guy knows that he will never get out of here and won't be able to say it to his beloved in person. The warden praised Gregorio for his selflessness. Not everyone could put their own son in prison. Gregorio asked the warden for permission to send Gabino to a psychiatric hospital instead of prison. The warden decided to make an exception for Gregorio. Alonso was allowed to see Gabino, who did not understand why his former friend had come. Alonso asked Gabino if he had told the authorities about them. Gabino replied that he was not that kind of jerk. Alonso was sorry, but he had warned Gabino and Lázaro in advance to leave the country. When asked what was between him and Lázaro, Gabino replied that they were just friends, although he wanted more. Alonso wants to help his former friend and handed him a gun. Gabino can end his suffering at any time. After that, Alonso left. As agreed, Rosario obtained the key to Mina's locker at the shooting club for Amparo. That's where the letter is kept. Opening her jewelry box, Mina discovered the key was missing and asked the maid if she had seen it. Rosario assured that she hadn't taken anything, but Mina already suspected that Doña Amparo was somehow involved. Mina received a call from the shooting club and learned that a frightened Mexican was waiting for her there. Mina immediately went there. Opening Mina's locker, Amparo took a sample of the letter of release addressed to the main office. Enrique met with his mother, who said that Doña Amparo would soon provide them with the seal. At that moment, The son told Rosario that his father had passed away of pneumonia. She didn't want to believe it. It turns out it was all for nothing. Arriving at the shooting club, Mina hugged Lazaro. She thought she would never see him again. Now they must figure out together how to get Gabino out of prison. Amparo asked Gregorio's secretary for a favor, to get a release letter with a stamp. Javier could be fired for this, but he couldn't refuse Doña Amparo. As is tradition, Amparo opened the annual youth shooting competition. She mentored the young shooters, advising them to stay cool in any situation. Alonso is also participating in the competition. His friends noticed that he was gloomy. Belen, like other high society women, also attended the event. The competition began. Meanwhile, unable to stand it, Gregorio cried. Rosario brought him an ironed shirt. Gregorio didn't immediately notice the letter with the shirt. After reading it, Gregorio searched for Rosario throughout the house, but it seemed the maid had already left. The competition was in full swing. A familiar girl approached Cayetana and said she saw that Mexican in the forest. Cayetana headed there and found Mina and Lazaro indulging in passion. They know there is no way back. Of course Cayetana ratted them out. The lovers were taken to the shooting club and locked in separate rooms. Lazaro is only concerned with one thing: what will happen to Mina? Receiving the call, Gregorio learned that the Mexican had been found. But that wasn't the worst part. Hearing about his wife's infidelity, Gregorio was shocked and ordered the son's immediate release. Cayetana came to Lazaro, who was tied up. To his surprise, Cayetana freed his hands. She felt guilty because she didn't think things would go this far. Cayetana had fallen in love with Lazaro at first sight and now wanted to help him. They could escape to Paris together, now or never. Lazaro agreed, and unexpectedly Cayetana laughed, calling him pathetic. It was just an act. Cayetana never forgives rejections. Gabino didn't understand why his father was taking him to the shooting club. Gregorio told the son that he would understand soon. Gregorio didn't know if he could forgive himself or if it was too late to make things right. The father had no idea that Gabino was hiding a gun. Amparo had always considered her daughter-in-law a fool, but she never thought Mina would destroy everything. Once Amparo had taken her husband's life because she was disappointed in him. She didn't want to feel like nothing next to her husband. All this time Gabino had been by a tree and had witnessed it. Now Amparo regrets only one thing: not getting rid of the sole witness at that moment. Upon arrival, Gregorio demanded the mother answer why she did that to his father. Amparo didn't understand how her son knew the truth, but it was too late to change anything. Everyone was on edge in light of recent events. Getting into the car with Gabino, Alonso said that the worst part was living with a secret that couldn't be shared with anyone. Gabino was the only one who knew the truth about him. Gabino returned the gun to Alonso and asked him to leave. But Alonso didn't leave. Instead, he asked Gabino what it was like to love a man. Gabino shared when he first felt it. Listening, Alonso couldn't hold back his tears. He wished he could experience the same. At one point Alonso grabbed the gun, but Gabino stopped him from making a fatal mistake. Seeing the father and his friends leading Lazaro and the mother somewhere, Gabino jumped out of the car. Gregorio promised to punish Lazaro and the unfaithful wife. Gabino didn't want to believe that his mother had betrayed his father, but Mina didn't deny it. Gregorio ordered the son to take a rifle and restore his dignity, but Gabino couldn't do it. Gregorio started insulting his son, threatening him with a gun. At that moment Alonso shot from behind, taking Gregorio's life. Amparo in turn took Alonso's life. Everyone scattered. Holding a rifle, Amparo intended to take revenge on the Mexican. Lazaro ran, but Amparo shot him in the leg. Less than a minute later she finished what she had started. Mina and Gabino were next. Approaching the grandmother from behind, Gabino pointed a gun at her. She in turn aimed the rifle at him. Gabino managed to shoot first. Seeing Lazaro lifeless, Mina couldn't hold back her emotions. Thus ended this family conflict. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.